We got called to Brighton Avenue about 3 months ago, just after midnight. Dispatch said possible pedestrian accident, truck versus person. When we pulled up, rain coming down like sheets of glass, I expected the worst. But what I found was a man in a soaked work shirt standing in the middle of the street, shaking. Not from cold, from adrenaline. And about 10 feet away, a woman in an expensive dress sitting on the curb, crying. The truck driver was still there, white-knuckled on his steering wheel. "I didn't see her," he kept saying. "She walked right out in front of me. If that guy hadn't grabbed her..." The man who saved her life was still standing in the street, staring at the spot where she'd almost died, like he was trying to understand how close it had been. Turns out she was his boss, and neither of them knew that one rainy night was about to change everything. Let me tell you how this fire really started. His name was Marcus Rivera, 34 years old, single dad to a 10-year-old named Ethan. I learned all this while my partner checked the woman's vitals in the back of our rig. Marcus was sitting in the jump seat, holding a cup of terrible station coffee, watching his son sleep in the back of his old sedan through the window. "I almost didn't stop," he said quietly. "I saw her car on the side of the road, saw her stumbling. But Ethan was asleep, and I was so tired, and I just wanted to go home." "What made you stop?" I asked. He looked at his coffee for a long time. 3 weeks ago, I fell asleep at a red light. Dead asleep. Woke up to horns blaring and Ethan shaking my shoulder. "Dad, the light's green. Dad, wake up." He was scared. I could hear it in his voice. He rubbed his face. That's when I knew something had to change. But I don't know how to change it. I work maintenance at Stonebridge Industries during the day. Then I clean offices downtown at night after Ethan's asleep. I get home around 2 in the morning, sleep 4 hours, get up and do it again. "That's brutal," I said. "It's been 3 years. Ever since his mom left." He stopped, corrected himself. "Ever since she walked out without a note. Without a goodbye. Just gone." He looked back at the woman in our rig. "When I saw her about to step into the street, I don't know, I just moved. Didn't think about it. My mom used to say you can tell who someone is by what they do when nobody's watching, when it would be easier to just keep driving." The woman he saved that night was Rebecca Stone, Chief Executive Officer of Stonebridge Industries, the company Marcus worked for. And she didn't just employ him, she terrified him. The morning before the accident, Marcus had been 2 minutes late to a safety meeting. He'd been stuck in the elevator between the 3rd and 4th floors. The same elevator he'd fixed a dozen times. It groaned and shuddered to a stop, lights flickering. He'd pried the doors open manually and climbed up to the 4th floor. By the time he made it to the conference room, Rebecca was mid-sentence. She stopped talking when he walked in. The silence was immediate, absolute. Every head turned. "Mr. Rivera," she said. Her voice could have cut steel. "How considerate of you to join us." Marcus felt his face burn. "I'm sorry, Miss Stone." The elevator stalled. "I don't need excuses. I need punctuality." She looked at him for 3 long seconds. "If you can't manage your time, perhaps you should reconsider your position here." Someone coughed. The room held its breath. Marcus took his seat, kept his eyes down, felt the weight of humiliation settle on his shoulders like a wet coat. After the meeting, his supervisor pulled him aside in the hallway. "Don't take it personally, Marcus. She's been like this ever since her father passed, cold as ice. Doesn't matter how good you are at your job." Marcus nodded, went back to fixing things, trying to be invisible. He'd seen Rebecca around the building for 2 years, always in motion, always on her phone, always looking like she was carrying the weight of something nobody else could see. She was brilliant, everyone said so. Turned her father's struggling automotive company into an empire. She worked 18-hour days, ate lunch at her desk, lived in a mansion by herself. People respected her, nobody liked her. So when Marcus saw her stumbling beside her Mercedes that rainy night, smelling like whiskey, mascara running down her face, his first thought was, this is going to be complicated. His second thought, when she stumbled into the street and he saw the truck's headlights, was, move. He pulled her back just in time, felt the truck's wind as it roared past, horns screaming into the night. She collapsed against him, sobbing, not making sense. Something about her phone, her father, how she couldn't find her keys, how she couldn't find anything anymore. That's when he recognized her. In the ambulance, after my partner checked her vitals and determined she was just drunk and in shock, Rebecca kept trying to apologize. I'm sorry, she slurred. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Her words tangled. I didn't mean to be so cruel. To everyone. I didn't mean... It's okay, Marcus said quietly from where he sat with Ethan. Rebecca's eyes tried to focus on him. Do I know you? Yes, ma'am. From where? Stonebridge. I work maintenance. Her face crumbled. Oh, God. Was I mean to you? Marcus didn't answer. Her eyes welled up. I wasn't I? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She looked at Ethan, who was watching her with wide, curious eyes. You have a son. I do. He looks like you. Her voice went soft, almost childlike. My dad used to say I looked like my mom. Before she left us. She blinked slowly. Everyone leaves. Did you know that? Everyone just leaves. Then she closed her eyes and didn't say anything else. Marcus didn't expect to hear from her again. He figured she'd be too embarrassed, that she'd pretend it never happened. But the next morning, when he walked into the Stonebridge Industries lobby, everything felt different. People were staring, whispering behind their hands. Then the elevator doors opened, and Rebecca stepped out. She was wearing a gray suit, hair perfect, makeup flawless, but her eyes were different, softer, red-rimmed. Mr. Rivera, she said. Her voice carried across the marble floor, but it was quieter than usual. My office. Now. Everyone watched him walk to the elevator. He could feel their eyes burning into his back, heard the whispers starting before the doors even closed. Inside her office, she closed the blinds, stood with her back to him for a long moment, looking out over the city. You saved my life last night, she said quietly. Anyone would have... No, she turned around. Anyone would have kept driving. You didn't. Even after... She stopped. Even after how I treated you yesterday morning. Marcus didn't know what to say. I checked your file this morning, she continued. You've been working here for 2 years. Maintenance during the day. Then you're on the cleaning crew at night. She paused. You have a son. Ethan. He's 10. Yes, ma'am. And you're doing all this alone. His mother left. 3 years ago. Rebecca's expression crumbled for just a second. She turned back to the window. I'm sorry, she said, for how I've treated you. For yesterday morning. For... Her voice caught. For not seeing you. The silence stretched. Take the rest of the week off, she said without turning around. Paid. Take your son somewhere nice. Mrs. Stone, I can't afford... Yes, you can, because I'm giving you a bonus for... She struggled with the words. For being a decent human being when you had every reason not to be. 3 days later, on a Saturday morning, Marcus was working at his weekend job, a small auto garage on the south side that he managed for the owner. He was under a Honda Civic, replacing the brake pads, radio playing old rock music, when he heard footsteps. Need a hand? He rolled out from under the car, blinked twice. Rebecca was standing there in jeans and a white t-shirt, hair in a ponytail, no makeup, sneakers. She looked young, almost nervous. Marcus sat up, grease on his hands. Mrs. Stone? Rebecca, she said. Please. And I'm serious. Let me help. For the next 2 hours, she worked beside him. She didn't know anything about cars, so he taught her. How to check oil, how to identify a worn belt, how to read tire pressure. She listened, asked questions, laughed when she got grease on her face. Around noon, Ethan came running across the street from his friend's house. He stopped dead when he saw Rebecca. "Dad, who's that?" "This is Rebecca," Marcus said carefully. "She's a friend." Rebecca smiled. Actually smiled. A real one. "Hey, Ethan, your dad told me you like cars." The boy's face lit up. "I want to build race cars when I grow up. Like the ones on TV." "Then you've got the best teacher," she said, nodding at Marcus. Marcus felt something shift in his chest, something he hadn't felt in 3 years. "You hungry, buddy?" he asked Ethan. "Starving." Marcus looked at Rebecca. "There's a diner across the street." "Nothing fancy, but I'd love to," she said. At the diner, they sat in a red vinyl booth. Ethan talked nonstop about cars and superheroes and his friend's new video game. Rebecca listened to every word like it was the most important thing she'd ever heard. At one point, Ethan looked at her seriously. "Are you my dad's girlfriend?" Marcus choked on his coffee. "Ethan, no," Rebecca said gently. "But I'm his friend. Is that okay?" Ethan considered this. "Yeah, he needs more friends. He's always working." Rebecca's eyes met Marcus's across the table. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe more. "Yeah," she said softly. "He does." The next Saturday she came back, and the Saturday after that. She'd show up with coffee, a box of donuts for Ethan. She'd hand Marcus tools, clean parts, learn the names of things, listen to his stories about the cars he'd fixed, the places he wanted to take Ethan someday. One afternoon in the 3rd week, they were sitting on a tool bench, taking a break. Ethan was inside the garage office doing homework. The sun was warm. The radio was playing something old and quiet. "Can I tell you something?" Rebecca asked. "Of course." She was quiet for a long time, picked at a thread on her jeans. "The night you found me," she said finally, "I wasn't just drunk. I was trying to forget." Marcus waited. "My father died 6 weeks before that night. Heart attack. Sudden." Her voice was barely above a whisper. "We'd had this terrible fight the week before. About the company, about my life, about how I'd become someone he didn't recognize." She wiped her eyes quickly. "He said I cared more about profits than people. That I'd turned into someone cold, someone he didn't know anymore." Her voice cracked. "I told him he was wrong. That he didn't understand business, that he was stuck in the past." She looked at Marcus. Tears were running down her face now. "The last thing I said to him was that he didn't understand me. And then he had a heart attack in his office, and I never got to tell him I was sorry, never got to tell him he was right." Marcus didn't say anything, just reached over and took her hand. "That night, I thought if I could just disappear for a while. If I could just stop feeling it." She squeezed his hand. "You pulled me out of more than just a street, Marcus. You pulled me out of a place I didn't think I could come back from. You're here now," he said quietly. "That's what matters. Because of you. No. Because you chose to be." She leaned her head on his shoulder, just for a moment, and he let her. Felt the weight of her, the warmth, the way his heart was beating faster than it should. They didn't move for a long time. After that day, something changed between them. It was subtle, the way she'd look at him when she thought he wasn't watching. The way he'd find excuses to stand closer to her, the way their hands would brush when they passed tools. Neither of them said anything, but it was there. Rebecca threw herself into changing things at Stonebridge. She started a program called the Second Chance Initiative, flexible hours for single parents, childcare assistance, scholarships for their kids. She worked with HR for weeks, refined the policy, made sure it was airtight. The day she announced it, she stood at the podium in front of 300 employees in the company auditorium. "This program exists," she said, her voice carrying across the room, "because someone showed me what strength really looks like. Not the kind that builds companies, the kind that builds people." Her eyes found Marcus in the back of the room. He was standing against the wall in his work uniform, trying not to be seen. The kind that stops in the rain when everyone else keeps driving. The kind that works 2 jobs to give his son a future. The kind that saves people even when they don't deserve it. Her voice caught. She looked down at her notes, took a breath. "My father used to say that success without humanity is just numbers on a page. I forgot that for a long time, but someone reminded me." The room erupted in applause. Marcus slipped out the back door before anyone could turn around. He was halfway to the parking lot when he heard her. "Marcus, wait." He stopped, turned. Rebecca was standing at the top of the steps, still in her business suit and heels. "Why did you leave?" she asked. "I don't like attention." She walked down the steps slowly. "I meant what I said in there. I know." They stood there for a moment, 3 feet apart, close enough to touch. "Ethan asked me something yesterday," she said. "What?" "He asked if I was going to be his new mom." Marcus's heart stopped. "Rebecca, I'm sorry. I'll talk to him." "What did you tell him?" she asked softly. "I told him." He struggled for words. "I told him that some people are important to us even if they can't stay forever. That sometimes caring about someone means being grateful for the time you have." Her eyes were shining. "That's a very wise thing to tell a 10-year-old. He's a smart kid. He understands more than people think." She stepped closer, close enough that he could smell her perfume. "What would you tell him if he asked if you cared about me?" Marcus looked at her, really looked at her, at the woman who'd been cold as winter and was now standing in front of him with her heart in her eyes. "I'd tell him the truth," he said quietly. "That I do. More than I should." "Why shouldn't you?" "Because I'm a maintenance worker with a kid and 2 jobs and a 10-year-old car." "And you're—" He gestured helplessly. "You. I'm a woman who was drowning until you pulled me out," she said. "I'm someone who looks forward to Saturdays more than any board meeting. I'm someone who—" She stopped. "Who wishes things were different." The space between them felt electric, impossible. "Me too," he whispered. They stood there, not touching, but not moving apart either. Finally, she smiled. Sad, but real. "I should get back." "Yeah." She turned, walked a few steps, stopped. "Marcus?" "Yeah." "Thank you. For everything." Then she went back inside. 2 weeks later, Marcus got a phone call. The voice on the other end was professional, formal. "Mr. Rivera? This is James Chen from Apex Automotive in Seattle. We received your resume from a colleague. We'd like to offer you a position as our lead facility engineer." Marcus sat down slowly on his couch. Ethan was at the kitchen table doing homework. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't send you a resume. Your file came through our HR department. Someone at Stonebridge Industries recommended you very highly. The position comes with full benefits, normal hours, and a significant salary increase. We understand you have a son. We have excellent schools in the area." After he hung up, Marcus sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. He knew who'd sent his resume, knew why. She was giving him a way out, a way forward, a future for Ethan. She was letting him go. That night he couldn't sleep. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about Saturday mornings, coffee and donuts, grease-stained hands and easy laughter. The way she looked at him when she thought he wasn't watching. Around 2 in the morning, he got up, stood in Ethan's doorway, watched his son sleep. He'd been working himself to death for 3 years, trying to give Ethan a better life. And now here it was, being handed to him on a silver platter. All he had to do was leave. The next Saturday, Rebecca didn't come to the garage. Marcus worked alone, radio off, just the sound of tools and his own thoughts. Around noon, he drove to her mansion on the edge of town, the same place he'd taken her that rainy night. The gate was open. Her car was in the driveway. He knocked on the door. She answered, still in pajamas, hair messy, eyes red, like she'd been crying. "You sent my resume to Seattle," he said. She didn't deny it. "You deserve better than 2 jobs and 4 hours of sleep. You don't get to decide that for me. I'm trying to help you." "No," he said. "You're trying to push me away before you have to watch me leave." She looked at him. "Is there a difference?" "Yeah, there is, because I want to make this choice myself." "Then choose, Marcus," she said. Her voice broke. "Choose what's best for your son. Choose the future. Choose you," he said. "I'd choose you. If things were different. If I didn't have Ethan to think about. If you weren't my boss and I wasn't—" He stopped. "But things aren't different. And I do have him to think about. So I'm taking the job." The words hung between them. "When?" she whispered. 2 weeks. She nodded. Tears were streaming down her face now. "Good. That's good. He'll have a good life there." "Rebecca." "Don't." She stepped back. "Please don't make this harder than it already is." He wanted to reach for her, pull her close, tell her he'd stay, that they'd figure it out. But Ethan's face flashed in his mind. His son asking why they never went on vacation, why Marcus was always tired, why they couldn't afford things other kids had. "I'm sorry," he said. "Me too." She closed the door. He stood there for a long time. Then he drove home. The day before they left, Marcus brought Ethan to the garage one last time, to say goodbye to the place that had become their second home. Rebecca's car pulled up just as the sun was setting. She got out slowly, walked over to where Marcus was standing. In her hand was a small keychain, one of those cheap ones from a gift shop. It had a tiny umbrella charm on it. "To remember the night that changed everything," she said, pressing it into his hand. He looked down at it, felt the weight of it, the meaning. "I have something for you too," he said. He went to his trunk, pulled out the umbrella, the one he'd covered her with that rainy night. "You left this in my car." She took it, ran her fingers over the handle. Ethan came running over. "Miss Rebecca!" He threw his arms around her waist. She knelt down, hugged him tight. "I'm going to miss you so much, kiddo." "I'm going to miss you too," Ethan said. His voice was muffled against her shoulder. "Are you going to be okay without us?" She pulled back, looked at him with swimming eyes. "Yeah, sweetheart. I'm going to be okay. You take care of your dad, all right? He's one of the good ones." "I know," Ethan said seriously. She kissed the top of his head, stood up. Marcus looked at her, tried to memorize her face, the way the sunset caught in her hair, the sadness in her eyes, the small smile that said more than words could. "Thank you," he said, "for everything. For seeing me. For letting me see you. You saved my life," she whispered. "You saved mine too." They stood there, 3 feet apart, close enough to touch, but not touching. Then Ethan tugged on Marcus's sleeve. Dad, we gotta go. The movers are coming tomorrow. Yeah, buddy. Let's go. He walked to his car, opened the door, looked back one more time. Rebecca was standing outside the garage, holding his umbrella. She raised one hand. A small wave. He waved back. Then he got in the car and drove away. In the rearview mirror, he watched her get smaller, then disappear. 4 months later, I ran into Marcus at a coffee shop near the station. He was back in town for a few days. Visiting. How's Seattle? I asked. He smiled. Good. Really good. Ethan loves his new school. I'm sleeping normal hours. We went camping last month, first time in years. That's great, man. Yeah. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. Rebecca standing with a group of employees under a huge banner. The Rivera Initiative. She named it after me, he said quietly. Sent me a letter 2 months ago. Said I didn't just save her that night. I changed who she was. You still talk to her? Sometimes. Texts mostly. She keeps me updated on the program, sent me photos from the company picnic. He looked at the picture for a long time. I think about calling. Really calling. But I don't know what I'd say. That you miss her, I suggested. He smiled. Sad, but honest. Yeah, that I miss her. Maybe that's enough, I said. He put his phone away. Maybe. Before he left, he showed me the keychain on his car keys, the tiny umbrella. I keep it there, he said, to remember that one night can change everything. I've been fighting fires for 18 years, and I've learned that some fires don't burn buildings. They burn inside people, quiet, invisible, consuming them from the inside out. Rebecca was burning long before that rainy night. Success had kept her warm, but it had also kept her alone, isolated, drowning in a life that looked perfect from the outside. Marcus didn't just pull her from the street. He pulled her back to herself, showed her that being vulnerable isn't weakness, that kindness isn't a business strategy, that sometimes the most successful thing you can do is let someone in. And she did the same for him, gave him permission to want more, to believe he deserved more, to choose a future where he could breathe. They didn't get the fairy tale ending. No last-minute airport chase. No, I'm choosing love over everything. Because real life is more complicated than that. Real life is a man with a 10-year-old son who has to choose his child's future. Real life is a woman who loves someone enough to let them go, but that doesn't make their story any less beautiful. Sometimes love isn't about holding on. It's about knowing when to open your hands. Sometimes the biggest fires start with the smallest sparks. A man who stops in the rain, a woman who says thank you, two people who see each other for the first time. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from something that could have been everything, because you love someone enough to want what's best for them, even when what's best is goodbye. If someone needs help tonight, stop. Even if you're tired, even if it's raining, even if it would be easier to keep driving. You never know whose life you might save, or who might save yours. Stay safe out there.